city in New York State, listening to people's concerns. The Sharpe Way is a show where answers, solutions, and common ground can be found so that together we can forge a new way forward. The Sharpe Way is the way to mutual respect, where no one has to convert to be heard, because you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want, as long as you aren't forcing your beliefs on others. Welcome to Sharpe Way Radio.
Oh, yes, it is Larry Sharpe. Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty in awesome Western New York. The number to call if you want to chat with me after the first break, 585-346-3000. I was thinking about something because of a story that I read recently. And it's a story that I told some of you in the past. But I think I should tell it again because it makes sense. And it's going to link directly with what I'm talking about here. And what's important here in New York State. When my daughter was in school, she was bullied by a young boy. And when she was bullied by that young boy, I, of course, taught her to fight back either verbally or if need be physically. I taught her how to do that also if need be. And she fought back verbally. And when she did, it hurt the boy. I mean, emotionally, he was bothered by it. The bully got bullied, didn't like it. He went to his mom and complained. He went to people and complained. Everyone started complaining. And they brought my daughter into school and threatened her. The school administrators did and said they want to see her parent. I told her, Mom, don't worry, I got this. I showed up. And the vice principal is very aggressive with me. And, usually we're going to suspend the child for a day. And I said, hold on, I'm going to be clear on this so I can be 100% clear on what's going on here. The boy who bullied my daughter, he's already been suspended, correct? That's what I heard. Is that true? He said, yes, more than once. So he's been suspended for bullying in the past. Yes, he admitted this openly. I said, okay, great. So then he bullies my daughter and he's already been punished, so he hasn't learned his lesson. What is she supposed to do? He says she can't fight back. She can't. That's against the rules. She has to tell a teacher. I said, well, it's happened before. He said, yes, but that's the rules. I went, oh, well, I teach my daughter to fight back. She will fight back. I said, please feel free to suspend her. In fact, do it for the entire week. He said, what? I said, suspend her for the entire week. He said, but that'll go on her permanent record. I said, nobody cares. I don't care. Nobody cares. Suspend her for a week. I will take her out for that week, and I'll reward her for the entire week for being an amazing kid. I'm very proud of her. Do as you wish. He was like, well, I don't think we're going to do that. And all of a sudden, he backed off. Utterly backed off. Why would he back off? Why would he back off? He backed off because his goal wasn't to protect the kid or anything like that. His goal was compliance. He wanted me to comply. He wanted her to comply. And the second he realized, I'm not going to comply, and I don't care about your dumb rules. They don't mean anything to me anyway. I don't care. The second that happened, he's like, oh, you won't comply. I can't have you starting trouble and having others not comply. So I'm going to let you go. You go away and be quiet, and we'll be good. And I agreed. He didn't say those words, but that's what he said. I agreed. Leave me alone. I won't say anything. He left me and my daughter alone. Never heard about it again. That was it. Larry, why are you bringing up this story? Because I've taught my daughters, I have two, to defend themselves. I defend myself. I think it's totally fine to defend yourself. You're supposed to. It's part of your right as being a human being to defend yourself when you are being attacked or bullied. Now, she didn't beat the kid up. He was verbally bullying her, so she bullied him back. Okay, you shouldn't have bullied my daughter. What are you going to do, right? That's how that works. But I'm going to go to someplace now which is harsher. And it's not even New York City. It's still downstate, but not New York City. It's Nassau County. A man comes outside of his home because he hears a noise and he hears people on his property. They are somehow messing with his car. He thinks they're trying to steal his car or maybe bring it to his house. He doesn't know. He just knows it. He pulls out a firearm and fires. I want to be very clear. No one was injured. And the guys run off. He puts some bullets into his own car and into the neighbor's fence. Not a good thing, obviously. So the cops come by, ask him what happens. He says so. It seems like the other people agreed, like there are people around who either heard it or saw it, and they agreed that's what happened. They arrested him. When they arrest him, they charged him with 6 felonies. To be very clear, 6 felonies. And I want to be clear on this. I'm going to read them to you so you understand what I'm talking about. They charged him with criminal possession of a weapon, criminal possession of a firearm, reckless endangerment, prohibitive use of a firearm, and 2 counts of unlawful possession of certain ammunition feeding devices. That means magazines. That's fine. That's what they arrested him on. And go, okay, but Larry, maybe he shouldn't have fired. Maybe. Wasn't there. Maybe he should have yelled at them or brandished. I don't know, whatever. Perhaps there was something better he could do. I'm not arguing that. I don't know that. Maybe there was. But what I want you to recognize what they charged him with. This is the most important piece. They charged him with 6 counts. What's his actual crime? In theory, again, assuming that was the case, he shouldn't have fired. I don't know if that's true, but maybe he shouldn't have. And that is a viable investigation. That is a viable worry and concern, because if you have a firearm, when you pull that trigger, you are responsible for whatever happens after that. That's how the world works. I'm not mad at that, right? I'm not mad at that. That's how it should be. Okay. Criminal possession of a weapon, criminal possession of a firearm. What's the difference? What's the difference? This is New York's perfect example of making illegal things illegaler. So if you have criminal possession of a weapon, that's a crime. So they made another law, criminal possession of a firearm. Isn't a firearm a weapon? It is. Any need for that law? None. No need for that law. That's just extra felonies to throw on top of him. This is making illegal things illegaler. And these are not crimes. They're not laws. Why do we have them? Because our state is broken. Because they want to make sure you comply. They want to throw 6 felony charges on you so you cannot defend yourself. This is an attempt for the state to ensure you may not defend yourself, not even on your property, but you can't defend yourself in a court that you pay taxes for. How's this guy going to afford a lawyer to defend against 6 charges? He's going to plea. He's going to comply. He is going to comply because he can't afford to get a lawyer to defend against 6 charges. And here's the worst part. If he goes to court, jury's going to see 6 charges. This guy be guilty of something. And he's going to jail. And he's going to be a felon. He can't vote anymore. He's going to lose his firearms. He can't defend himself at all now. That's how New York State works. But I'm going to go one step further. He also has reckless endangerment and, on top of that, prohibitive use of a firearm. Now, what would prohibitive use of a firearm be? Reckless endangerment. Again, the same crime. These are the same crime. And that one might be true. Maybe he was reckless. Again, that to me makes sense to investigate, because perhaps he shouldn't have fired. Maybe he fired crazily. I don't know. That to me is reasonable to investigate. But you threw on prohibitive use of a firearm. And the sad part is, the prosecutor put this on top, and the judge will go, yep, makes total sense, because it's the law, because I'm a judge, and I'm a tool of the party system, and I don't care about the Constitution or what makes sense at all. I'm a judge in New York State, therefore, by default, I'm a tool, and I'm terrible. That's how that works. You hear me get mad at judges all the time. They should be throwing this out. There should only be one charge against this man, and one only: reckless endangerment. That's an actual crime. I'll go one step further. He has 2 counts of unlawful possession of certain ammunition feeding devices. Why 2? Because there are 2 of them. Is it multiple acts or one? It's one act. You have the bad thing. That's the crime. So you have the bad thing. Why 2 counts? Because you found 2 of them. So if you found 4 of them, be 4 counts. And that again, a judge will go, yeah, makes sense, because I'm a tool. A judge will do that. Instead of going, this is stupid. Why do you have 2 counts? Should be just 1. And now I'm going to go even one step further. No one was injured. That's, again, cops say it. Everyone says that. No one was injured. What is criminal possession of a weapon? Does that mean he stole the weapon? Now, if he stole the weapon, that will be possession of stolen goods. And if he stole the weapon, that's a crime. There's a victim. He stole somebody's property. If he stole that gun, if he did, then that's absolutely a crime. And they should investigate him for that, charge him for that. I get it. That's a crime. You stole somebody's property. But he has a weapon. Does that mean it's the right license or something? Yeah. Second Amendment. That's also not a crime. Possession is not a crime. Now, sadly, we've made it a crime in New York State because we're idiots and our leaders are embarrassingly bad and have been wrecking the state for decades. And they're insanely bad. Now, judges are garbage. And I know you get mad when I say judges are garbage, but they're garbage. It's clear. That should not be a law. That should not be a crime. I have something in my pocket. Go to jail as a felon. What? Yes, I have something in my pocket that you, brain dead chimps in the assembly, have decided is bad. Therefore, you are now a felon. You can't vote. You can't defend yourself. Sorry, go to jail for a year. Why? You put something in your pocket I don't like. That's literally that law. I'll go further. So they doubled up on something that's illegal and made it illegaler, and it shouldn't be illegal in the first place. Next piece, doubled up on certain ammunition feeding devices. So you can have an ammunition feeder device. You just can't have the ones that we don't like. You can't have those because I decided, because I'm a brain dead chimp in our assembly, and I've decided that this bad thing is not good. So go to jail, be a felon, lose your property, lose your freedom, and don't vote and can't have a firearm because you got the thing that I don't like twice. And the judge will go, yep, makes total sense because I'm a tool. So now I have that also. So the only thing that this man should be charged with, if anything, is reckless endangerment, which may be true. But they added on top of it, prohibited use of a firearm. Why? To ensure that if he pleads, it's still a felony. Because all the prosecutor cares about, the only thing the prosecutor cares about is a conviction. That's it, nothing else. Not a crime. Conviction. Shouldn't be felonies. Conviction. One possible crime, 6 charges. He will be punished for defending himself. One more time. Nobody was injured, and the property that was injured was his own. He fired on his own car. Property injured is his own. Now, there's one exception. There's a hole in his neighbor's fence. Okay, fix the fence. Reckless, maybe. That's it. Maybe it's me. Is it? You can tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty. Back with your calls and your chat after the break.
For the last couple of years, Joe Robach has been telling you about Flower City Collision in Henrietta, saying that it was started by a veteran along with his son, Zach. Hi, my name is Greg Sadwick, and I am that veteran. I want to thank the WYSL listeners for their support over the last couple of years. During those years, not only have I experienced the gratification of providing you the best repairs and customer service, it has also allowed me the opportunity to see my son develop as a young professional. So remember, Flower City Collision for your collision repair needs. And thank you for supporting our locally owned family business.
Most banks offer you a choice. Or maybe it would be better to say they demand a choice. Technology so you can bank like you want to, or relationships so you can get advice when you need it. But when you choose to bank with Tompkins, you can have it all. Powerful technology and the power of a face-to-face talk about your future. Because both are part of the best banking relationship you'll ever have. Tompkins, your bank of choice. Open an account today at tompkinsbank.com.
Only available in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com. Official top quality tees, hoodies depicting the colorful WYSL logo or the already famous Mount Worstmore line of merch depicting Mount Rushmore style are for worst presidents. Of course, you know who is front and center up on that mountain. WYSL official items make perfect gifts, or they're great way for you to make a personal statement.
We have Keith.
And sold only in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes. It is Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty. 585-346-3000. PJ helps me out and he says, Criminal possession of a weapon is when a criminal is in possession of a weapon in commission of a crime. Possession alone is not a charge unless you're in a brain dead jurisdiction. Well, we are in one, PJ. So yes, but I get your point. But my other point still stands. Even if you're saying your crime is worse because you used a weapon, okay, I will buy that, right? I'm okay with that concept. Why do we have two of them? Why is it possession of a firearm and possession of a weapon? Why? Because gun's bad. So we have to make it worse because it's gun. But you can kill somebody with all types of things. So gun's bad. So maybe you're right. That's okay. I got it. Are you now saying it's reckless endangerment? And then because he was reckless with a weapon, that made it worse? I could buy that. If that's the logic of the prosecutor, then those would be my two charges, right? It will be reckless endangerment and then criminal possession of a weapon. Sorry, yes, of a weapon, yes. And then investigate. Is that real? I'm totally okay with that concept. The way it's done, utterly wrong. Thank you for that clarity, by the way, PJ. Let me grab a call if I could. I have Keith. Keith, how are you?
Yes, everyone. Let's fix that fence, which is our country somewhat in decline. So let's stop the hemorrhaging. 3 fast things.
I like that.
Mandatory that all parents should put their kids into martial arts classes. Hopefully, that will give them the self-confidence to overcome even anything that might come up in life. Today, March 25th, tomorrow will be the date in which the horrible 36-day battle at Iwo Jima ended, March 26th. So got to give our young people confidence the way those tough Marines, but many died there at Iwo.
Yep.
But you got to have that confidence, and a lot of our people today are soft. Secondly, since so many of our youth are loose ends and just out of it, really, 2 years mandatory national service. No ifs, ands, or buts. A lot of our young people today, selfish and flat out sociopathic. You find yourself 2 years in national service, giving that service to other people. A lot of these young people today and people of other ages are too self-absorbed. Got to get our people out of themselves, get them to turn outwards and help other people. 2 years of mandatory national service, really.
Okay.
And third, another date, today's date, March 25th, 1911 in New York City, the very terrible Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. 146
yes.
immigrant young women, Jewish and Italian. Today's date, everyone, March 25th, 1911. Many of them clasping hands and jumping to their deaths. The fire doors had been locked shut. They were up there. They got caught. And so since you're from New York City and very coincidental, today's date, March 25th, everyone look it up. Very sad. 146 young women, many of them newly arrived immigrants, working just to keep themselves going, they and their families, jumping to their deaths. We've come a long way in 114 years, but pray to God.
So what's number 3?
Remember the 146. So that's it for me. Anything you want to say?
Oh, okay. Got it. All right. So you used the word that I don't like, Keith. I like your ideas, but the word, the word was mandatory. You know I don't like that. I'm a libertarian. I can't take that one. But when it comes to martial arts, I would totally be open to them actually having martial arts classes in school. I don't have a problem with that. They have it in elementary school or options to take in middle school or high school. I don't have a problem with that at all. If the schools want to teach self-defense, again, local schools, my rule, I want local people to control their schools. If you think local schools in your school, there should be self-defense classes, totally okay with that. Let it. But there are a lot of people, to be forward with you, Keith, who are pacifists, who don't want that. And I don't want to force that on their kids or on them. But at the same time, there's lots who would love that. They would go nuts on that. So I do not have a problem if they want to do that in school systems or in schools at all. I think martial arts is wonderful. I took it when I was in high school. I taught it when I was in the Marine Corps. I totally agree with you on that part. I just don't want to be forced because I know a lot of Americans are pacifists and I don't want to force that idea on them. The second piece, 2 years national service. The problem is if I have to mandate national service, I have a broken culture. And that's the problem. Our culture is broken. And one of the best ways you can fix that, and it's going to sound crazy, is to stop kids from being forced into college. I'm not joking. If you stop forcing kids into college, which is what we do unintentionally through family pressure, cultural pressure, through government pressure, we force kids into college. Let kids go to college when and if and how they want to. And some of them will, some of them won't. And some will go later in life, as I did. I didn't go to college until I was 21. What did I do first? Join the Marine Corps when I was 17. If you don't force it, you will find kids going to get jobs. You will find kids starting businesses. You will find kids joining the military. You will find kids doing community service. It will begin to happen as they begin to find themselves. They will find themselves in their community, which means they will begin to care about that community, and that will change our culture. And you'll find more and more people will voluntarily decide to give service. And it may not be national. I'm happy if it is, but it may be local. In my view, and I think you'd agree with this, Keith, service is service. Whether you, as long as you're serving others, you may say, look, I don't care about, national service, whatever. I care there are people in trouble in my community and I want to service them here locally. I'm okay with that too. So I think both of those would work. Does that make sense at least? Did I lose you? I think I lost Keith. All right, so yes. I think what Keith's saying is true. It's good to have service. I think it's good, very good, to have martial arts. I just don't like the mandatory aspect. And I think culture is the key, right? That's what I see. I see culture as the key. Let me grab, if I could, a couple more comments. I have so many of them here. I do want to grab some. Michael Boston in the house. He says, do Democrats and their single party rule harm citizens by denying safety? Seems self-evident. Yes. No bulletproof vests, no vetting of illegal aliens, delays of deportation efforts, list goes on. I agree. I think the problem we're having here, it's not intentionally denying safety. It is, but that isn't the intent. There's a bigger picture that this happens with. The bigger picture is dependence upon government. And with that is included denying safety, right? Because you can't depend upon yourself to defend yourself. But again, in New York State, it's not just that. You can't depend upon yourself to educate your children, to pay for healthcare. So you are correct, Mike. I'm just saying it's part of a bigger picture. It's one part of it. John says, man in Oneida County was arrested for shooting a guy breaking and entering into his house. The gun he used wasn't in his name. Therefore, he's bad. That's the saddest part. And where is a governor to pardon him? And where is a prosecutor to use prosecutorial discretion and say, I'm not going to prosecute this guy? Because they have that whenever they wanted to use it. But in this case, they don't. And where's a judge who goes, I'm going to throw this out? Where is anyone in any of these groups that will defend us against our terrible assembly? They're nowhere. You're right, John. Someone should be defending these people, and no one is. It's an embarrassment. Am I wrong? What do you think about my mandatory comment with what Keith said? You can tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe on Sharpe Way Radio, the voice of liberty. Back with your calls and more of your chat. I see you after the break.
Yeah, Keith hung up after his last comment. Sometimes when he said, and I'll, in closing, and then he usually hangs up. No problem.
God bless America.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon, Rochester. WLEA WCKR FM Parnell. Canisteo Valley Update.
A strong sewer odor is all over these days in the streets of North Hornell. There's a little of it in Hornell, scattered parts throughout Hornellsville, but mostly in North Hornell. Now, North Hornell gets its water from Hornell. Mayor John Buckley says, though, all evidence points to this problem coming from an area north of both Hornell and North Hornell.
The odors are originating from the northern portion of the sewer line. So the odors aren't emanating from the Hornell sewer plant because the sewer plant is obviously on the southern end of the line.
The Hornell sewer plant, by the way, near James Street Park in Hornell. The Hornell mayor working with Rich Dunning, who runs the Hornell Water Pollution Control Plant, to solve this problem. It's been going on a long time, but recently it's gotten a lot worse. Brian O'Neill for the Voice of Liberty.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. Mostly cloudy skies. Could be a couple of flurries, breezy and cold in the upper 20s, low 30s. On Wednesday, mostly cloudy, still on the cold side. Couple of snow showers, temps in the 30s. On Thursday, though, some sunshine is back into the mid-40s. Showers return later Friday in the 40s. I'm Rich Cadelia for the Voice of Liberty.
Tax season is upon us once again. Whether you're looking for small business or individual tax return services, you need to know how legislation will affect your tax situation. Issues to consider: BOI reporting, tax cuts and Jobs Act expiring provisions, and much, much more. Paget Business Services in Caledonia has the experience and expertise to help benefit you the most. They use state-of-the-art tax software, and owner Ben Guerrera has 10 years of experience. This year, don't even think about struggling with generic tax prep software or trying to work with a relative or friend. Instead, call Paget Business Services in Caledonia to make your appointment. Get peace of mind this tax season and head into 2025 with confidence. Paget Business Services, preparing individual and small business tax returns since 1991. Call 538-2501. That's 538-2501. Visit their website, pagetbusinessservices.com/Caledonia.
I'm Greece Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Joe Robach. If you're looking to market and grow your business, make new business connections, and give back to the community in a meaningful way, consider joining the Greece Regional Chamber. We are the largest suburban chamber in Monroe County, and we offer networking, education, marketing, insurance, and advocacy. You do not need to live or work in Greece to join. Our members come from throughout the region. In short, we are better together, and together we can move your business forward. Visit greecechamber.org or call 585-227-7272 to join today. You'll be glad you did.
Tap into the sweet history of maple sugaring at Genesee Country Village Museum during the Maple Sugar Festival, Fridays through Sundays, March 21st through the 30th. Hike through the sugar bush, tap a tree, try sugar on snow, and visit the sugar house. Plus, hands-on activities at the Nature Center and in the historic village. Fuel your sugaring adventures with a maple-themed food and drink, live music, vendors, and more. Advanced ticket purchase recommended. gcv.org.
Stay ahead of unplanned repairs on your home heating system with a winter home comfort special from Turnbull. Let them help you get through the winter. Get $500 off a brand new heating system when you schedule a free, no obligation estimate with Turnbull Heating and Air before March 31st. Or call Turnbull before March 31st and get your furnace cleaned for just $98. Get peace of mind and stay cozy. Turn to Turnbull.
You'll be comfortable with the best. Turnbull Heating and Air.
FM Talk.
Colon cancer can happen to anyone, even if it doesn't run in your family, and often there are no symptoms. The good news? Screening can catch precancerous polyps before they turn into cancer. And if detected early, colon cancer is highly treatable. If you're 45 years or older, don't wait. Get screened now. The expert team at St. James Hospital is here to help. Speak with your primary care doctor about scheduling your appointment today.
School's in session with Wendy Bell.
DNC chair, Trump told students can't have any pudding!
He doesn't give a damn about them.
That's the dumbest thing I've seen.
The children, what's gonna happen to them?
Nothing. It's all going to be fine. Let's just get the business of educating our children out of the federal government. At some point, we the people stand back and say, it ain't working.
Wendy Bell, weekdays on the WYSL stations. Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes. It is Larry Sharpe. Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty here in Western New York, 585-346-3000. Look, what I'm saying is, and I know some people are thinking, well, do we really want people, firing weapons all over the place? Of course not. But we have an example of that not happening, and that's Ohio. Ohio basically has made open carry, basically just okay, and where are all the people firing all over the place? Where's the wild, wild west they keep talking about? It's nowhere. One of the states that has the weakest gun control laws is New Hampshire, and they have the lowest crime rate. The evidence is simply here. As you crush the Second Amendment, you crush the people's willingness to defend themselves, you make people leave, and you increase the dependence upon the government. That's how it works again and again and again. And people don't get this. So, yes. Anyway, let me keep going here if I could. John says, remember, Larry, in that judge's courtroom, the Second Amendment doesn't exist. For those of you who haven't heard me complain about this 45 times, I'll do it for the 46th time. Dexter Taylor, arrested in Brooklyn. A black man, father of a young teenage daughter, wanted to be a gunsmith. I'm not joking. Do your homework if you think I'm making this up. Purchased a bunch of firearm pieces to start putting firearms together to see if he enjoyed doing that. He's an engineer by trade. Was thinking of a new one, a new trade. Literally bought them all legally with a credit card online. Never sold one. No ammunition. Cops raided his house because someone said he has guns or something. Maybe he's talking to his friend or something. They sold him out. Cops came in, put him in jail, put him on trial, found guilty. Of course, because the jurors in New York City don't get what's happening at all. They're utterly lost. They don't understand jury nullification. Wouldn't do it anyway. Don't understand it. They gave him 10 years. No victim, no selling, no hiding. He just had what they called ghost guns. That's the new laws that Kathy Hochul put into place after the Supreme Court said our gun laws are unconstitutional. She went, oh, is that right? Take 10 more. I wish I was joking. Take 10 more. Now, this is Kathy Hochul, Democrat. Who cares about black kids? That's what she told me. I remember. She said she wants to teach black kids to swim. Remember that? She told us this. She loves black people. She loves black kids. She told us that there's black kids in the Bronx who don't know what a computer is. Remember that? So she's like, Miss, I love black kids. I love that. I used to be a black kid. I'm now a black adult, but I used to be a black kid. And it's nice when people love me. That's good. So how does she show her love? By creating laws that puts black men in jail. Not just that, black fathers of teenagers in jail. If you're tired of me talking about this, too bad. I'm going to talk about it. Because Democrats have been telling me since I was a little black kid in the Bronx that they love me, that they care about me, and they care about black people. They've been telling me this for decades. And then they have proceeded to pass laws that puts black fathers in jail like there's no tomorrow, acting like they're helping. And one of those laws, types of laws, is gun laws. Yes. They will act like, well, we're stopping those crazy, militias. That's who we're getting. No. Over 80% of all SAFE Act laws, gun control laws, are thrown on top of young black men. That's the truth. Think I'm making it up? Do your own homework. It's there. Demonstrable. So every time some Democrat says, I want more gun control, that Democrat's saying, I want to put more young black men in jail, but I love them. I love you. Go to jail. Thank you, John, for getting me triggered. Mike Vosper mad at me now because I got triggered again. But that's okay. I'll say it openly. Gun control is racist. And you might go, wait a minute, Larry. You're using the left's words. Yes, so they'll listen. Yes. And all right. When I go upstate New York, and I often do, as you know, I travel often, I find people tell me things like, Larry, the Second Amendment matters because Constitution, so-and-so, so-and-so. I know that. And so does everyone who supports the Second Amendment. We know that. You're preaching to the choir. You're changing no one's mind. We have judges in our courtrooms who have sworn allegiance to the Constitution who say openly, again, this is openly said, the Second Amendment doesn't exist in this courtroom. So they say the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, whatevs. So that argument doesn't work. You know what argument does work? Gun control puts young black men in jail. Now the people in the cities across this state who think gun control is awesome, when I say that, they go, oh, wait, what? I can't be a racist. I'm a Democrat. By default, I'm not racist. You're not a Democrat? You're racist. I go, oh, no. Let me explain something to you, my friend. And it moves them. If you listen to me at all, you know my goal is to change minds. My goal is to have conversations. Yelling, Second Amendment, support the Constitution is nice and true. I'm not saying you're wrong. You're right. Doesn't change any minds, though. Say gun control is racist. Now ears perk up. What happened? What? That's why that matters. Anyway, you got me all triggered, John. But anyway, yes, let me keep going. I will pop through some of these. All right, John says, Larry, I also saw on Fox News that Peanut the Squirrel is back in the news. I didn't know that. His owner has a lawyer, and they're looking to sue New York State for too much government overreach. That's not word for word. Oh, that's not bad. I like that idea. Because every time you do this, more and more people get it. They begin to understand how bad this is. Thank you for that, John. John goes on to say, Larry, if you're the next governor of New York, I hope I will be. You never know. Maybe third time's a charm. We'll see. And you get right to work fixing all this stuff. I swear you would give Trump a run for his money. I don't think that will matter. I don't think Trump is running again. I mean, he might use Trump. You never know. But I don't think he's running again. And even if he was, here's what I've said, and I stand by it, and I say it publicly. If I run for governor, and if I win governor, I will not stop my governor term to run for anything else. I will do a full term, probably 2 terms, as governor, no matter what. So I would not run for president, even if I won somehow. Like, I hope I run for governor next year, and I hope I win. These are all wonderful hopes. I hope it happens. If it does happen, and if people love me and go, Larry, you should be president, they're going to have to wait 8 years. Then maybe. Then we'll see. And regardless, Trump, okay, no matter what, Trump won't be running in 10 years. So, or 8 years. That's fine. Even if he does run again, he's finished after that. So I will never have to give Trump a run for his money. I appreciate the kind words, but not a thing. So, yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting thing. Mike Voss goes on to say, this past Friday, someone shot at a school bus filled with small kids at 2:30 in the afternoon. Nothing Hochul and the Dems have pushed, not one gun control law, protected those kids or anyone else. Accurate. Yes, it doesn't work. Crime is still bad. And they've been telling us, Mike, haven't they been yelling at us for like years? All the guns they got off the streets? I hear that all the time. Yet still this is happening. Weird how that would happen. It seems like it's impossible, Mike. All the guns are clearly off the streets. Oh, wait. Maybe they're not. So, yeah. Juan, thank you for chiming in. He says, in Orange County, they have billboards stating, illegal loaded firearm, go to prison. Of course, the word illegal is in smaller font. And I swear that's intentional. It is. There's no doubt. And here's the point. Loaded firearm, go to prison. They didn't say, pull out that firearm and threaten somebody. Brandish the weapon. I'm thinking about banishing. Brandish the weapon in some way. Shoot somebody, shoot something. Rob somebody with it. Whatever. Not that. All of those things have victims. They're literally saying, have something I don't like, go to jail. And New Yorkers are like, that makes total sense. And judges are like, that's perfectly fine. Okay, I'm sorry. Where in the Constitution does it say, and maybe I missed that part, that if you don't have the right weapon, you get to go to jail? I don't remember that. Now, what I always get is people say, and you've heard this one, I'm sure, you don't understand, Larry. They didn't know. You can't own a tank and stuff. That's crazy. They didn't know it back then. All right, back then, people owned battleships. I'm not joking. I'm not making it up. They were called privateers. People owned battleships. That was a thing. You could own a battleship. You might use it to guard whalers, or you might use it as a cargo ship, whenever you want. But you owned the cannon, and you paid the soldiers and the sailors and the Marines on your ship, and they could fight. It was a battleship of the day, obviously. It wasn't the battleship we have today. Of that day, it was battleships. People owned them. People owned cannon. That was a thing. They had private military companies. That was a thing. They had militias. That was a thing. Yes. I don't know what we're talking about here. We have changed and gone so badly. And it's just to punish people and to keep us dependent upon government. And it's making us a weaker country. This goes back to Keith's earlier point. It makes us weaker. Am I wrong? You can tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Way Radio, on the Voice of Liberty in awesome Western New York. Back with your calls and more of your chat after the break.
Donald Trump and conservatives may have won, but you know the left will unceasingly try to undermine society and spread evil, targeting the innocent and God-fearing, especially our children. Help promote a truth-based society and try something different in 2025. The WYSL stations can grow your business, professional practice, or organization, so allocate your ad dollars here. Reach our huge audience, entertained, inspired, and informed by leading conservative thought. Affordable, effective. The WYSL stations, the voice of liberty. Call 585-346-3000 to advertise.
I'm Greece Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Joe Robach. If you're looking to market and grow your business, make new business connections, and give back to the community in a meaningful way, consider joining the Greece Regional Chamber. We are the largest suburban chamber in Monroe County, and we offer networking, education, marketing, insurance, and advocacy. You do not need to live or work in Greece to join. Our members come from throughout the region. In short, we are better together, and together we can move your business forward. Visit greecechamber.org or call 585-227-7272 to join today. You'll be glad you did.
Avon Gun and Hunting Supply, a locally owned and operated gun shop specializing in pre-owned firearms and repairs. Get your rifle, shotgun, or pistol serviced and tuned before you take it to the field. Open from 10 a.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Avon Gun, East Main Street, next to
Roger.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes, it is Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty. So happy you're giving me a small chunk of your afternoon. Yes, we have been talking about our inability in New York State to defend ourselves, being punished for defending our property or even our lives. And not just that, the way that they overcharge you to make sure you comply and you plea. This part we haven't talked that much about. I want to bring it up again to make sure it's clear. Is it possible this guy in Nassau County should not have fired his weapon? Maybe. I don't want to say it. Maybe I don't know. I didn't do the investigation. Maybe he shouldn't. But if so, there should only be one charge, which is reckless endangerment, right? That should be the charge. If we think that there's a special reason behind it or it's bad for some reason, PJ brings up the idea that you could add on unlawful possession of a firearm, or criminal possession of a firearm, because he used it to be reckless. Okay, maybe two. Surely one, maybe two. He got 6 charges. Most of them aren't crimes. What's he going to do? Get scared? Because what they'll say is each of those carries 5 years or whatever they carry. I made that number up. So 6 of them, if we do all of them together, you can do 30 years in jail. This guy's 60. He'll be in jail till he's 90, assuming he lives till 90. They're going to scare him. If he doesn't have a lot of money, I don't know this guy, if he has money or not. If he doesn't have money, he's in trouble. If he's got money, all right, he's going to hire a high-power lawyer who's going to knock half of this down and may scare the prosecution into either dropping charges or accepting a misdemeanor. Maybe. If he's got a bunch of money, the talented lawyer, maybe. If he doesn't, he's guilty. Doesn't matter if he is. He's guilty. And our system is going to prove that. Let me grab a call if I could. This is Roger. Roger, how are you, sir?
Good. So Larry, speaking of inability to defend yourself, and now you end up in court where you can't defend yourself there because you don't have the ability to financially defend yourself there either.
Correct.
We often talk about how state and local government says guilty until proven broke, and the federal government has a 98% success rate of getting a conviction. I take it this is the reason why the government is more apt at going after the poors than they are the people at the top, because they got big law firms backing them, and it's too much work. So they want to get that conviction.
I told you guys when Eric Adams first got charged, everybody was like, he's finished. It looks terrible. I said, no, Eric Adams is a former cop. He knows how the system works. He is going to throw everything he can at it to scare them into thinking they may not be able to convict him. That will delay. He was hoping for a Trump victory and he could scam. That's what he did. You're correct.
So I have a ballot measure. If we were a ballot initiative state, and hopefully when you run for governor, you can say, put that on your thing, make that on your platform and speak loudest about it.
That would be part of my platform. Yes.
So I have a ballot measure that can even the playing field for the rest of us.
Okay.
So it's for those who are of limited financial and wealth means, whether today from whether they are impoverished or low-income communities or from working-class backgrounds, who have been accused of a crime and would not otherwise have the means to secure a well-equipped defense and are not confident in the public defender, they will have the right to secure the legal defense services of law firms that will be fully paid for by the government, whatever their pick, whatever firm that they choose to go with, so that they can have like an even playing field.
My worry about that is if we do that, if we do something like that, a couple things happen. The first thing is now you have grifting law firms that will literally be grifting to get the cut of dollars. And when that happens, they will raise their prices and they will make sure the government pays $1 bazillion every single time someone gets arrested. Not just that, you will create at that point a defense industrial complex, criminal defense industrial complex, meaning now people will want to make more laws so they can be more people arrested so they can make more cash from the government. That to me scares me tremendously.
That's why you got to counter it with get rid of the nonsense laws that, oh, you tripped over a concrete, go to jail. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get rid of laws like that make it easy for people to be charged with crimes for dumb stuff.
Well, I like the changing the piece. If I had to make a change to this, the change would be to actually make the public defender a better system, right? Maybe you make the public defender wouldn't be a public defender. Maybe the public defender would be rotating law firms. That would make more sense to me, right? Because then the problem is the law firms actually have a reputation. The law firms want to win, right? That's the reputation. So if you would rotate law firms in and out of this, now the market comes in, and now it's rotating through. So there's no grift. Well, there's grift, but there's less grift. How about that? There's less grift. And then you'd have people who are public defenders who wouldn't be hammered by the public defense system. They would be hired by these law firms who would pay them better, and they would also have the resources of these law firms to defend people. I think that might be a better plan.
Okay, write that down and send it to me. I want to put that into my repertoire.
There we go. We're solving problems here, Roger, me and you.
You mentioned Ohio when, now here's the thing, because you talk about being like a open carry state, blah, blah, blah. So here's the thing. When black men exercised this second right, as they did against those neo-Nazis, who I suspect that were in law enforcement in those neo-Nazi groups, seeing that the actual law enforcement who were in uniform were not protecting the black community from this group, from what this group was doing, as they were threatening our community, one might say, well, they're practicing their First Amendment right. So the black people said, fine, we'll practice our First and Second Amendment rights, and created a militia. Now, all of a sudden, the local media is framing questions in a way toward them that they would never frame when asking, or if they ever did ask the neo-Nazis, like asking them, why are you wearing a mask? Like, did you ask the Nazis that?
Yep, I'm with you, 100%. Look, you and I both know the fastest growing gun owner demographic is black people, black Americans. They're the fastest growing, of course, as they should, right? What the origins of gun control, you know this. The origins of gun control was to keep guns out of the hands of former slaves. That was the origins of gun control. Prior to that, there was no gun control. That wasn't the thing. You had what you had. Literally, people owned battleships. I'm not making that up. That was a real thing. Oh, wait a minute. We got a bunch of slaves who are no longer slaves? Yeah, we better control guns now. And then the next thing, again, to your point, was California and the Black Panthers. Same thing. Wow, not a great way to end the show. Here's what I will say. Everyone, regardless of race, creed, gender, color, should be able to defend yourself as you see fit. I hope that was a positive ending. Guys, thank you for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I will see you all very soon.
I will rise.